with Deputy McBarry Gormagut, and I'll try and behave like a gentleman here. On a very ungentlemanly subject, I'll tell you that. I do welcome the bill proposed by the Indos4changed. I think Deputy Wallace is doing the state and the people a great service by highlighting this scandal. But I want to comment, because there's a lot been said about his bill and the references to it. I want to comment on, first of all, the government's amendment, which is clearly utterly outrageous because, as been said here, he wants to, put by Michael Noon, wants to see no evil, hear no evil, and just park it all and put it to one side. But the best of all is the Fianna Fáil amendment, which is all about suspending and putting back any idea that we can do anything in this House, just like they've done on water, on bins, like they're trying to do on Repeal the 8th with their committee, and like they're about to do with the Quality Access Amendment Bill on education. And now, on the NAMA issue, the Fianna Fáil amendment is all about suspension. Put it back, don't deal with it. And I think this is outrageous. But I do want to spend a bit of time making a bit of a wider argument about why this isn't just about Project Eagle, but it's about the entire raison d'etre of NAMA itself. And NAMA, far from being about the things that is stated in its briefing document, which is to facilitate credit, to protect the taxpayers' interests, to contribute to the social and economic development of the state, in fact it has done a lot of the opposite. It's facilitated the vulture funds who've bought up, sometimes in corrupt circumstances, tranches of property in this country for literally a song. It has facilitated giant global property equity fears and the development of these REITs, which are also involved in not paying tax and buying up huge tranches of property at a song. And therefore, it is protecting certain developers and it is protecting certain bankers. So it has done nothing on its remit to have a social role in the state and contribute to a social role in the state. It has done nothing other than to contribute to the deepening housing crisis. And I want to argue that because the scale of the housing crisis, with 140,000 citizens in need of a house on waiting list, the actions of NAMA have helped to worsen this instead of contributing to it. They're funding developers and now concentrating that the developers they have helped out are now concentrating on building luxury homes with the help of NAMA funds in places like Howth, on Howth Hill, where no ordinary person could ever dream of affording. They have made funding available from banked-up developers at the higher end of the market, and while NAMA point to the Trojan work it's done in supplying social housing for the availability to local authorities, having been on a local authority for 7 years, it's quite clear that in reality much of what was offered was totally unsuitable for social housing, and it helps to explain the low take-up of same. And now in the Dublin Docklands, it's facilitating a building boom in office space and a continued gentrification of prime areas, even as this state lumbers through the greatest housing crisis and emergency in its history. And while NAMA claims that all sales are done on the open market through competitive bidding, I think this motion here today shows that there's real something rotten in the state of Denmark, as Shakespeare would have said, going on here. There's an incestuous relationship between the firms and many of those involved in the hedge funds and the vulture funds, and far from tax avoidance being an unseen outcome, it's explicit in the attempt of Minister Nuland to put this to one side. And I want to conclude by saying I put forward a bill to change NAMA's remit to have a social housing role, and it was ruled out of order by this House. I'm looking for an explanation on that, but it would have made sure that NAMA played a clear role in the provision of social housing rather than providing to these developers and big.
Thank you, Deputy Barry.